The European Union is facing a sobering reality. Its trade agreement with the United States, the same trade agreement that Ursula von der Leyen sealed with Donald Trump in Scotland about a month ago, it is not going to evolve into a full-fledged, reciprocal, WTO-compliant free trade deal. In other words, it's impossible to fulfill. The EU understands it, and now EU officials are publicly admitting what many insiders have long suspected, that this was really never on the table in the first place. The European Commission's top trade official, Sabine Weyand, made it clear in recent remarks that Brussels should stop pretending that this is headed toward a comprehensive free trade agreement. Political reports here, according to her, if the EU asked Washington to agree on transforming the current deal into a full World Trade Organization compliant accord, the answer would be, in her words, a resounding no. That statement is more than a reality check, of course. It's a major policy moment, because what the EU has on its hands is a patchwork arrangement that doesn't meet WTO standards, doesn't ensure reciprocity, and certainly doesn't reflect the EU's official commitment that, let's be honest, it bans however it wants, the commitment to the rules-based trade order, the same commitment that it claims to defend as it simultaneously uses economic coercion for its own political benefit. At the heart of the issue here is WTO framework itself, which we'll discuss in a second, as well as a simple fact that the EU has never purchased $600 billion worth of energy resources from the United States, not even close. That number was pulled from thin air. Even Ursula von der Leyen knew this, and that is precisely why she backtracked just 2 days after shaking hands with Trump in Scotland. Besides that, the EU is now pointing to a specific article within WTO framework, Article 24, I believe, that allows countries to eliminate tariffs between themselves without offering the same deal to even other WTO members, but only if the agreement is broad enough to cover substantially all trade. The EU-US deal does not come close to meeting that threshold, to meeting that standard. The EU is increasingly unhappy with the deal specifically because it eliminates EU tariffs on a range of US industrial goods and cars, but it's a one-sided affair. There's no equivalent move from Washington, and there wouldn't be. And that's where things start to seemingly fall apart. Brussels is now seeking further discussions with Washington, but now critics are asking, how can the EU defend WTO rules when it's breaking them for political convenience? For Europe, the US-EU relationship is complicated. Europe is fully reliant on American security guarantees as it seeks to continue funding the West proxy war in Russia. There is a very clear reluctance among EU leaders to publicly challenge Trump's trade tactics for fear of weakening US military support. And so, because as we know, the United States is NATO, and NATO without the United States simply wouldn't survive, it wouldn't exist long term. So Brussels appears to be unwilling to gamble when it comes to trade talks with Trump.